Anderson. I'm the film critic for the San Francisco Examiner, and we have Alexis Denisof and Tom Lenk with us here. What'd you think? How much did you love the movie?
We're still trying to figure out, it's our little bird flew the nest yesterday, so this is exciting.
All right, so I'm going to start off with a couple of questions for our guys, and then if you guys have questions, you can jump in too. And the first one I want to talk about is the rumor is that you shot this in 12 days at Joss Whedon's house. Is
12
right?
days,
for,
yeah.
For some kind of micro budget that probably wouldn't pay for Iron Man's pinky finger.
It felt like 12 minutes when we were shooting it. But yeah, Joss had a contractual break when he finished shooting the Avengers, so that, and it's common that you have a little rest because those shoots are grueling and long before going into the edit process, which is also grueling and long. And the lunatic that he is, rather than take that vacation, or he redefined that vacation as shooting this movie at his house. So.
And having talked to Joss recently, I interviewed him for a magazine, and I asked him about that. I said, so this is how you quote unquote relax, by like stressing yourself out and having your house invaded by all these people. And he said, and I'm paraphrasing, but something to the effect of, he's most happy when he's creating something. He's happiest when he's busy and things are happening. So in a weird way, this is how he relaxes, is by staying creative and inspired.
Now, I've also heard that he's had these regular Shakespeare readings at his house for like the last decade or so. Have you guys been involved in that?
Yeah, we've both done those.
Have you worked on this one play?
We read this play. In fact, Amy and I read those parts that you just saw, and a long time ago. And I'm happy to say that apparently a seed. He had talked about shooting a Shakespeare reading or a play for a while, but I guess that one lodged in his mind that he wanted to do that one, and he fixed in on Amy and I in those roles. Thank God for Amy and I, and I'm just glad he didn't tell me that before, because just the 12 days and the lines was enough to worry about without feeling that that there was any other expectation. But we'd been getting together and reading the plays at his house, and it's just a very relaxed way. It was something his family had done when he was a kid, and once it was in the early days of Buffy. That he noticed there were a few actors around that had experience with Shakespeare or liked Shakespeare, and then he would throw them and some writers and just friends into the mix, and a glass of wine and read a play. He would dole out the parts and cut it down to none of the boring stuff. Just keep it funny and fast, or sad and short if it's. But that's, I think, in many ways, this film owes a great deal, I would say, to those readings. Don't you think, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just what started out as a way to just get together and have a brunch and hang out, turned into this thing. And I think a lot of people last night in the Q&A, they thought this was going to be filmed like for PBS on like an iPhone, and we'd have our scripts in our hands. Did you at one point think that, or were you frantically shoving your lines in your head?
Well, luckily he had said to me when he told me this kooky idea, the last thing he said before leaving, this conversation took place in my kitchen, he said, learn your lines. Which sounds like, kind of, yeah, duh. But actually, it was great advice. Because there's a lot of them, and we had so little time that now when I look back, I'm so glad I wasn't wasting the few takes we had on messing up my lines. So,
Well, can I just say that the thing that boggles my mind is that when you rehearse a play, because essentially, when you do a movie, you're just sort of learning your lines for that day. But this, you really had to there wasn't that time. You had to, I'm sure you refreshed the night before, but you had to memorize the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And typically when you do a play, what helps you get it into your head is like, oh, I grab a beer on this line and I walk on this line. Like, that helps the lines go in your head. So you were just show up with the whole play inside your head and make a movie.
I mean, some of what you see is almost rehearsal. I knew the next line, but I wasn't exactly sure when or where I was going to say it. And we're in those scenes. We're looking at each other and listening very intently, because it could be my turn to talk. No, that's you.
So just wait till she stops talking. And
Yeah,
I say my
yeah.
line. I don't know what the cue line is.
No, but if you want to flick your eyebrow a little to help me, that would be fine. No, I mean, of course, I'm taking it too far, but you're right. It was an odd process, but I would say liberating. And I would. What did you think? Because it is a short amount of time, but once we got going, don't you think it's just that's what it was. You didn't question anymore about the 12 days. It's just now we were in it, making it, and it was just we have to do it now.
Yeah. Well, I breezed in on the weekend with Nathan. Nathan was filming Castle during the week, so he didn't rehearse at all until I think I read through it once with you guys, and then it was just like, okay, just know your lines, and we're gonna do something, and hopefully.
I mean, they just need their own show, right?
His own show. I don't know if he wants to stop that and do a duo show, but I wouldn't be opposed.
I'm wondering how many takes Nathan Fillion might have spoiled just by being Nathan Fillion. Was there how many breakups were there?
There was moments where you forgot your line. There was confusion, that kind of stuff. There wasn't a lot of like, hilarious, because there just wasn't. There wasn't time, I don't think.
Okay.
Maybe there was something.
How did? Sorry. Can I interject?
Yeah, go ahead.
When you can't find your keys, like how did that happen? What was that? I mean, it's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite jokes in the movie, but I was just curious. Did you guys like work it out, or did that?
No, we didn't. I think we just we're going to the car, and then he did this thing, and then I think I just was like it was just like a fun little improv about people walking out of the car. It's so dumb. It's so idiotic and dumb. I just love it. But I think that's what we kind of did with all of our shtick, was like, how far can we go before this is like shtick? I mean, a lot of it is sort of
before you get a ticket from the comedy police
yeah.
yeah.
Now, Alexis, you had a monologue while you were jogging. Is that up and down some stairs, right?
Yeah.
Is that how
That was
challenging?
my question.
That was your question?
We're gonna ask each other a question.
We made a deal, like, okay, think of a question for
I'm
each
sorry,
other.
I
haven't
That's
asked
okay.
mine yet. That
Okay.
was a new one I thought up just then. I thought, all these lines. Why don't I make it harder? I'm gonna run up and down the stairs, and we'll do it in one take that you'll never cut from. And I really regretted that after about an hour. It's the one time where we actually had to spend a little more time. Joss and I, we sort of said, when we were rehearsing, he was like, "Holy shit, you're doing it all," and I was like, "Well, yeah." And he said, "Then I have to shoot it all as one." And but then technically what that meant was, if Tommy's the cameraman and I'm talking to him, look what Tommy has to do.
We're going downstairs.
So my job was hard, but the camera operator's job was way harder, and keeping me in shot and walking backwards, and he got hurt.
Like a big gash.
Yeah.
It was bad.
So at one point he said, I just don't think we're going to get it. I don't think we can't hold you and hold the frame, and it was a lot of lines, and I think that there were takes where I wasn't, if you don't get it word perfect, we can't use it, because there was no cutaway. But then there was one right at the, of course, the magic of theater. There was one right at the end. It just all came together on that one. That's the only one. That's the one usable take you're looking at. But we figured, well, we don't have to, the time we would have taken to shoot from other angles, or the time I would have taken in the editing room, let's use it now. So you get another take. And luckily, that was the one. So that was the story of that particular shot.
Did you have one more question you wanted to ask each other before we open it up to you?
Why don't you guys start?
All right, who has a question? How about, right there, you first.
Was all of the booze real?
That's a great question.
Joss has gone on record as saying that technically during filming, the actors were not drinking actual wine. That was juice or colored water. But around 5 o'clock, when the end of the day was coming and they called wrap, a lot of times the filming would just turn into hanging out and drinking actual wine.
The truth is, certainly for everybody that you see, all the on-camera people, you can't do that drunk.
You get to keep doing it take after take.
Yeah,
at the end of the day.
It's not practical. Not for me. My liver couldn't do that. But yeah, as Tommy said, in the evenings people would unwind a little. The way the party worked as far as that was that it was all friends of his or friends of people in the production, and they said, look, we're going to have a party, but before the party starts, we're going to shoot you at a party. So if you could dress up, and then that's what we did. We shot them at a party, and then as soon as it was done shooting, they got to have a party. So they're not even, or they weren't supposed to have real drinks for any of that, as far as I know.
Let's see. How about right over there on the aisle?
Oh, hi. Anyway, very nice Mission Impossible moves. Were those improv, or did you just decide to do them?
I think you're talking about that eavesdropping scene where I'm listening in. I mean, we walked around a little, Joss and I, and sort of, he